Compliments of the season to you and best wishes for the new year. The year 2022 was indeed an interesting one for the tech community. Despite various predictions by tech experts, the year surprisingly took a different turn both globally and on the African continent. The industry kicked off on a high note, and many thought the success ride of 2021 was going to continue. But then we had a drop in startup funding and investment, an increase in the number of local acquisitions. There was a dipping of cryptocurrencies, FTX collapse, the continued financial inclusion battle, and of course the tech layoff spree that caused thousands to be unemployed. But we did have good times. More innovators continued to birth digital solutions. The Nigerian startup bill was finally passed into law. We saw the rise of NFTs, popularity of Web3 and the creative economy, as well as developments in the metaverse. It was indeed an interesting year. And on Tech Trends this week, we will be sharing with you some amazing stories that we featured in 2022. I am Olayemi Odunuga. Let's get the show started. "2022 arrived with so much optimism for the tech industry. There were hopes that the year would continue to ride on the successes of its predecessors, with global tech deals and strong investments flowing into the market. But then it became harder to raise venture capital and investment levels dropped. More tech companies began to lean down their operations, and by the third quarter of 2022, news of massive layoffs took center stage. But there were a number of innovations in the digital world that benefited businesses and customers. On Tech Trends this week, we share with you some major innovations and events that emerged in the tech industry in the year 2022. First is Aspira Spola. A mini sports car built by a team of 500-level students of the Mechanical Engineering Department, University of Jos. The team built the vehicle as their final year defense project with support from Jerry Malo, the current leader at Benny Automobile, who built the first Nigerian carbon fiber sports car named Benny Puri.
Benny Automobile, the person of Jerry Malo, he inspired us in so many ways. Like, he exposed us to a lot of things, and he made us realize that we can achieve these things without thinking like there's something that is not achievable. So he exposed it. During our 300 level, we went for a conference he organized, and during that conference, we had the lectures. He did the lectures for us, and during that lectures, he exposed us to a lot of things, and he showed us some of his works, and that was where we picked interest, and we decided to go for our COS 1,300 level in the company.
After their internship, they decided they wanted to build a car model, as their graduating project. So I was actually happy when they said that, and I tried to enlighten them about some of the challenges that most likely they will be facing. And I and my team did our best to support them in the project. We took a lot of time. We gave them personal dedication. We dedicated a lot of effort to seeing that they learn the knowledge, not just doing it, not just us doing it for them, but if we are saying they should use this material, we do our best to explain why they need to use this material, and we make sure that they do it themselves. At the end of it, they were successfully able to build a car prototype, and it was a happy beginning for me, for them. That's the way I see it. I just hope that they will continue developing and building on that foundation.
Next is a modular interactive school built using standardized reusable freight compartments known as containers. The school is a deviation from the regular brick and mortar buildings and provides an environment that supports education technology.
We're sitting right here in a modular school. In here, 52 containers, a 12 classroom block. And why? Why modular? We needed an envelope to warehouse our technology. It's not as if we couldn't have sat in a brick and mortar building, that's fine. But the reality, the concept behind it, the mindset behind it was, what's new? What are we going to do differently? What's rugged enough that can take this African environment that we're in and you know, the sunshine, the adverse weather effect that we have here. How do we have sustainable buildings? How do we reuse what we already have that's littered all over the place? Reuse it and make it a lot more, you know, useful rather than it just, you know, being a mess all over the place. And that's why the modular infrastructure is fantastic. So they are just absolutely fantastic for learning spaces. And then when you have that idea that the kids will run into them, oh yeah, protection, safety, they're built from a sustainability perspective, it ticks the right box. 50-year lifespan, you know, and then you update. When there's rust, you know, you can go back, and then also maintaining them. All you do is just wipe, you know, just wipe. So it saves you having to paint your schools all the time, you know, just have a clean cloth, clean up, and you're good to go again. So modular buildings end up just being the right kind of, you know, kind of environment, we thought, for this unique projects that we want to roll out, you know, within the technology space.
Then, Nigerian entrepreneur Mustafa Gajibo designed solar-powered minibuses in Maiduguri, Borno State. In 2018, Mustafa and his team started converting petrol-powered tricycles to electric, and by 2021, they could already design and build one from the scratch.
After going into the renewable energy sector, we have been building lithium batteries, storage systems for home, factories, residentials, and even bigger industrial usage too. So when we mastered the lithium-ion batteries, and we now saw the possibility of using them to even build electric vehicles for mobility, because that's the same type of batteries that are being used for mobility and others. So, and with the current situation that our country and the whole world at large is facing when it comes to mobility, we could see that prices of transportation is just going up every day due to the high pump price. And the issue of, in our country today, we are having issue of subsidy removal and all these issues that might come up after the full subsidy removal. So I was just wondering, how will life be when the subsidy on fuel is fully removed? Even today, transportation is costing high, so you could imagine when the transportation fares, how they will rise when the subsidy removal is being put into effect. So in my own way, I'm coming up with solutions so as to solve these problems before they even arise.
This is the first prototype of the smart bad device that will launch this year, February.
And Kemisola Bolariwa, founder of Wearable Technology, makes it easier for women to check for lumps just by wearing a smart bra.
You can agree with me that breast cancer is a threat on women globally, and it has the high mortality rates due to late detection. So how can women now detect this cancer at early stage? And that is what we're doing. That is what we are using wearable technology to solve, to enable women to know their status, to check their status at the earliest stage. If there's any abnormality in the breast, if there's lump or whatever it might be in the breast, so they'll be able to know at the early stage before it grows to stages and get complicated.
The menopause is quite eco-conscious in what we do, and the long-term vision is to make this product to be solar-powered.
Also featured was Melopads, a wearable device used during menstruation to block pain through heat therapy and nerve stimulation. The aim is to help women who suffer from chronic menstrual cramps get relief without the use of drugs.
On one of those days when my mom was massaging my stomach with hot water bottles, I remember my phone vibrated and it was on my stomach, and the vibration from my phone actually, it was kind of ticklish, but it felt good. It was able to distract me from the pain for a time being. And that was how I decided to research into the use of nerve stimulations, to cure pain. And I was able to, get some tangible information that actually proves the use of nerve stimulations as a way of reducing pain. So those were the two technologies we decided to, combine: heat therapy, nerve stimulations, And that was what we have embedded in the metal parts technology and also in the design.
Two childhood friends, Rashid Aro and Timileyin Ogume, came up with a financial solution called Tracker to give individuals control over how they spend their money. One thing they both had in mind was to build one that's tailored to the Nigerian market.
Based on the fact that I spend, I won't say lavishly, but I spend extraordinarily without having to account for my expenses, I actually searched for a way to get, if there was a budget app in Nigeria, but I could not get any. So I searched, and then I felt like, rather than searching, why not create? So being a law student, it's not something it's not something in my line. So I spoke to Timmy. Timmy is the chief executive officer. So Timmy is into the line of tech. We've been friends in secondary school. So I spoke to Timmy, and Timmy was able to fine-tune the whole idea based on his experience and expertise and all that. So yeah, so that was how we actually came about Tracker.
Also featured was Errand 360, a bicycle community delivery platform aimed at serving users with demand for quick and short errands within their communities and on-demand delivery services. By using bicycles to deliver goods, Errand 360 is providing affordable deliveries and short errands for people in a community in a sustainable way.
We've identified 3 major issues affecting delivery service in Nigeria and Africa as a whole, and these problems are centered around delay in delivery time. The second one is, of course, the delivery costs. We pay more to deliver because of the way deliveries are being done in Nigeria and Africa. And the third problem we're trying to solve is to reduce carbon footprint into our environment. Now, when it comes to climate change, everyone is trying to prefer solutions to solve climate global warming. And using bicycles and electric bikes is something that we know definitely does not emit carbon, and it's eco-friendly, and this in turn would reduce global.
Rwandan entrepreneur Henry Yakarundi is transforming how people charge phones in his country. Henry is the CEO of ARED, meaning African Renewable Energy Distributor, a tech firm using solar to bridge the digital divide in Africa through mobile solar-powered kiosks called Shiriki Hubs.
We have a GPS module on the mini server, so we know where all the solar kiosks are at any given time. And the mini server can work as a cluster, as a group. So actually, third-party developer can actually build the application on top of our infrastructure, right? So it's just a way for us to use this infrastructure for more than just the basic phone charging distribution of digital content. We also want to use that same infrastructure to solve the storage and computing infrastructure gap that exists in Africa.
And then the Nigerian Communications Commission, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, auctioned the remaining 2 lots of 100 megahertz in the 3.5 gigahertz spectrum band as part of the Commission's 5G deployment plan.
Arising from the significant increase in broadband penetration in Nigeria, it has become vital for us to move to the next phase of global development of the sector.
Finally, it was the 4th edition of the Art of Technology Conference, which brought together industry stakeholders, policymakers, tech experts, startups, and students to discuss strategies to drive a smarter Lagos.
Welcome to AOT 4.0.
The conference focused on talent acceleration and a smarter Lagos, and the role of the youth in the roadmap is played up.
I firmly believe that working together is essential right now, and that mobilizing our youth behind a shared goal may accomplish wonders. My earnest hope is that as a result of our tireless efforts, this conference will assist our youth in making firm decisions about how they might get closer to achieving their objectives. On this note, talent acceleration and smarter Lagos will be our focus.
The tech industry no doubt has an impact on nearly every sector, And even though it might look back at 2022 as a year characterized by massive layoffs, the fall of crypto, low investment deals among others, we did have many tech titans that wowed us with their innovative ideas. Well, you've had a look at our top spectacular stories and innovations that made 2022 on Tech Trends. Next on the lineup are snippets from select interviews we believe you'll enjoy. Stay with us. In 2022, we had some compelling conversations from cybersecurity to startup investments and the metaverse. We had a chat with Rwandan entrepreneur Henry Yakarundi on how African startups can seek funding and investment.
The ecosystem for entrepreneur in Africa is not well developed yet. It's getting there, but it's not there yet. And a lot of time when you look for investor, if you're looking for $1 million plus, a lot of time it depends where you are, right? If you're in South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt, some of those big markets, Kenya, then you can find local investors that can invest in high ticket price, as they say. But if you're in a smaller market, Rwanda, all those Sierra Leone, all those small markets that are not very well known, it's very difficult for an entrepreneur to find big ticket investment. And a lot of time what you see is investors setting up structure outside Africa to invest 10 million plus. So it's extremely difficult. And again, it's part of the networking. It's part of building an ecosystem that is not just local, but more international. So it's a tough topic. I don't think we can just, spend a few minutes talking about that, but it's very difficult. It's even more difficult for entrepreneurs. But the strategy I always tell them is, don't just focus on VC, because VCs are even more difficult to access the fund. If you look at statistically, 0.1% of entrepreneurs get VC money. It's a very small number. But what you need to do is tap into what they call angel investor or angel syndicates. There's a lot of them now in Africa growing, where it's high net worth individual looking for deal. Then those guys are more willing to take risks, but you got to network. You got to find where they are. You got to find where those people network at. So it's a lot of networking aspect and research that you have to do. There is a lot of companies, tools out there that help you find those people, but still you have to do the legwork. But don't think local. If you don't find the money locally, go outside the local framework. Go online. Google angel investors in West Africa, for example. See who's doing what. So it's a lot of research involved in that. And of course, you have to develop your documentation, your pitch deck, and so on and so forth. But that's a whole nother discussion.
Another discussion with David Adeleke, a tech and media analyst focused on how tech innovations are propelling the creator economy.
The creator economy is essentially an ecosystem enabled by business and technological innovation that allows anybody from anywhere in the world to create content and monetize it in simple terms. So it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what you do. You can be a doctor, you can be a physician, you can even be a preacher, right? As long as you are creating money, you're creating content, you build an audience, a community or a fan base, and then there are tools and platforms that help you monetize that fan base. Those are the things that make up the creator economy.
Cybersecurity expert Confidence Stavely shared ways to secure our presence online.
One of the first things I would say about how everyday people can keep themselves safe online is to secure their accounts with a strong password, and even go beyond having a strong password, but also turn on two-factor authentication everywhere possible. I say this because a lot of times people, cyber safety is hampered from the fact that they don't have strong defenses. Like you won't have your door, you won't leave your house and leave your door open or your gate open, you will lock it, or you have a security person at the gate, or you would have barbed wire fences. That's the same way we need to protect our accounts, our social media accounts, our email accounts. The next key tip I'm going to give everyone here listening to me right now is to also have an antivirus, antivirus software installed on your devices. This is going to help you be able to detect, viruses and many other types of malware. By malware, I mean harmful code for your devices. So it's important to have that. But it's also very important to be able to know harmful emails or malicious emails from ordinary communications, because that's the way most cyber attacks begin. They begin by sending you an email that is harmful. From there, you click a link, you provide additional information that is confidential, or do something that puts you at risk. So it's important to do that, that and you're able to tell which email is genuine from the one that is not. Another key tip I'm going to give is updating your defenses. It's important that when you have your phone or any other device, you constantly look out for updates, because those updates give you more security features to keep your phones and every other device or tool that you use secure and safe. I like to say it makes it obonge, stronger for you.
And Dr. Yele Okeremi, CEO of Precise Financial Systems, shared his views on how we can deepen financial inclusion and the role fintech companies play.
The conversations around financial inclusion tend to happen a lot more in economies that are less developed than in economies that are a lot more developed. And so we see that I think the real framing could have been economic inclusion rather than financial inclusion. Because I always say this, and I've said it on your platform a number of times, that it is impossible for you to financially include people who are economically excluded. So if you want to do the easy work of saying that we provided technology to give some more people access to financial services, that makes you look good. But the real heavy weight, heavy lifting work is how many people are we economically including? And if we include more people economically, financial inclusion will find its level.
And finally, is this chat with Fred Oyetayo, CEO of Wearable Technologies, on the job cuts and hiring freezes that plagued the tech industry.
One thing is for sure, is constant from most of the major layoffs, is that most of these companies, they overhired during the height of COVID. We all remember more than 2 years ago now, a lot of foreign tech companies, they were on like hiring spree. They were just hiring a lot of people, even more than the people that they need, because they felt that the industry was growing. There was a need for most of their services and products they were offering at that particular point. But as of now, revenues are going down. There's a possibility that the recession is coming in, and so they need to match their revenue. So that is the major reason why a lot of companies, most especially the big ones all around the world, are laying off most of their staff at this point.
Is there a possibility that these job cuts could have been prevented?
Well, yes, it could have been prevented in a way, most especially when the hiring spree started. Most companies, because during the height of COVID, a lot of people, we did not know, this had never happened in our generation. The last major outbreak like that was in the 1920s, more than 100 years before the COVID-19. So no one really had a template of what was going to happen. A lot of people there were a lot of demand, which a lot of companies needed to employ more people at the end of the day. I wouldn't say that companies expected this to happen, but they could have taken preventive measures to ensure that they don't overhire more than the people that they need. In situations like that, most companies could have taken on contract staff because it was not a certainty that this was going to go on for a long period of time. Not a lot of companies were going to enjoy the same revenue drive, the same revenue growth, which they're enjoying for a long period of time. And now when it is all coming to forth, a lot of people know at this point in time that revenue is going down. There is a possibility of recession coming up within the next few months. So they need to downsize at the end of the day.
Now that we've taken you back to those amazing features and compelling interviews of 2022, how about we look forward to better times in 2023, especially in our tech community? Let us remain optimistic that despite the downturn, the tech ecosystem can indeed weather the storm. Do not forget Tech Trends is here to share insights, trends, and developments as 2023 progresses. All of our episodes are on the channel's TV YouTube account, and I encourage you to watch, share, and like your favorite editions. Thank you for sticking with us all through 2022, and I can't wait to do more with you in 2023. I am Olayemi Ojunuga. Bye for now.